These ain't glorified gang or prison stories, man. These is lived experiences. Welcome back to the Swang Glow podcast show, Blocc Crip. It's an absolute pleasure to be back here at this round table amongst my round table family. Salute to everybody for joining me during this live. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to present to y'all a live. We drop many videos, throughout the weeks. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, a pleasure to be able to drop a live, from time to time. Usually when I do the lives, I have my beautiful, wonderful girl, my co-host, Miss Golden, right here by my side. However, she hasn't been able to, join us today, but she is in the chat. Shout out to the beautiful Miss Golden. Shout out to all the Roundtable family as well. And shout out to those of y'all that's able to catch this live a little bit later on within the day. Okay, so look, let me go ahead and get right to this real quick, man. I'm not gonna hold y'all up too long. I just wanted to bring this little story to y'all of an OG homeboy that I happened to meet back in the year of 1995, during the time when I was in the Los Angeles County Jail. Now this is a person that I always heard about. You come up in the game hearing, about a lot of dudes that came before you that may be known for, their game banging career or what they brought to the table when it comes to that. Well, this guy, Big Fontain, his reputation definitely had preceded itself, far before I was able to actually meet him. Now, I believe my first time meeting Big Fontaine, man, was in okay, let me give y'all a short story. Okay, so in 1995, I was in the Los Angeles County Jail Crip module. The Crip module is a section of the Los Angeles County Jail that's kept away from the rest of the population, because if you're on the main line constantly getting into stuff, and you're a documented gang member, 9 times out of 10, they're going to take you, instead of keep throwing you in the hole, they're going to take you and throw you into the Crip module. Now, that's where they put the worst of the worst from everywhere, during this time period. It was so many crazy and wild dudes going through that Los Angeles County Jail at that time, and was coming in there for all kinds of crazy different cases, man. Some of the OG legends that y'all have heard about, some of y'all big homies, from all these different areas throughout the Los Angeles County, they was in there, man. So just think about it. I can throw some names out there. I've thrown names out there of the people that was in the Crip module with me during these times, man. And like I said, reputables. Okay, so it was so much going on, so much violence. Once the violence shifted towards the police, which it did, it went right towards the sheriff. We start taking off on the sheriff. They'll come down the tier. We either, hitting them with spears, throwing old pee and boo boo and milk. Like they used to call them stink bombs. So it would be a combination of old milk that they'll have sitting for like 5 days. Then they'll take a few squirts of pee and mix it in there with that, and just let it sit. Oh my God, man, you throw one of those on the tier. And people used to throw those over the tier all the time. But if you get hit with one, that smell is just crazy. I can't even describe it, right? So anyway, they would come down the tier, and like, let's say they cut the phones off on us, or they won't pass out our mail, or they won't allow us our canteen, whatever it was that we was in there protesting about. That's all it took for us to start getting on the police. So it got so bad to the point where a sergeant and a couple of regular sheriff in there ended up getting stabbed up by the neighborhood Crips, right? So once that happened, that was like the final straw, because I've told y'all about the stories of us going into full combat with the sheriff in there, to the point where they was coming in there shooting like cushion grenades, bombs, and like we was like real fisticuffs with the police in there, man. And dudes was getting beat down, brutally beat down, like it was crazy. But we wasn't going down without a fight. So it was like a constant war between us and the police and the sheriff. And a lot of us had a lot of grievances towards the sheriff anyway, because some of us was in there that that had cases that was police related. So definitely, you had dudes getting sheriff killer tatted on them and all that, right? So the hatred was real. So anyway, once it got so violent, they closed down the Los Angeles County Jail, right? And I would never forget the day. It was January the 1st, 1996. They made an announcement over the loudspeakers, right? Sort of like the one you hear in my background right now, right? They made an announcement over the loudspeakers and told us basically all to roll our stuff up, meaning pack up all your property. We finna shift y'all out. So everybody in there is like, what? We tripping, right? So what we didn't know was, because the sergeant and the sergeant and the other sheriff had got stabbed up in there by the keyways. Hey, they was like, we got to ship them out. So they took any of us that had any violence towards the police that was on our jacket, or cases was related towards the police. They took half of us and sent us out to Wayside, to a section in Wayside called DPE. That was like the high power section of that jail, of that Los Angeles County Jail, right? So bam, everybody else they took, they had just opened up Linwood County Jail, you know, hey, and the new Crip module was developed, was birthed at Linwood County Jail, right? Now they tried to make it to where you wasn't as grouped up with your homeboys from your hood, because they knew if y'all was grouped up together in numbers, when it come to a situation where we're getting into it with the sheriff, the alliance is not going to be broke. And that's what they had a problem with when they was trying to come up in there and physically remove us out those cells. They was met with complete violence. You feel me? From the first cell all the way down, they had to cell distract. A cell distraction is when they get dressed up in all their protective gear with the helmets and the shields and all that, right? And they coming in with the little guns that they shoot inside the cell, the grenade things that when they shoot it explode, and a gang of little rubber balls and shit shoot all over the place, and people was getting hit with those, man, and it was just a crazy situation, but they needed that, so bam. Anyway, when they boot us all out, they take half to Linwood, the new county jail that they had just opened up in 1996, shifted half over there, and they opened up the new Crip module there. So, I guess that was more so they thought they had better control on a situation and us. So anyway, they take half there, they take the rest of us that they had under investigation of that stabbing on the sergeant and the rest of the sheriff, right? And took us and put us in that high power DPE shit in Wayside. So bam, when we get there, now they take a number of us there, man. They take probably like 5 or 6 Durocs there, as well as Killer, who was Marcelli at that time there from 111 neighborhood. I told y'all the story about Killer from 111 neighborhood. He ended up unaliving himself in New Folsom State Prison. I told y'all that story. Rest in peace to Killer. Shout out to the 111 neighborhoods. He was Marcelli at that time there in the DPE stuff. And then you had I think Hamburger from East Coast. He was another one that was on the bus with us. I think Blue Rag from East Coast was there too with us. I can't really remember, man, but hey, but they took probably like 11 or 12 of us there at the same time. We was all on the same bus tripping, like this is in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? January 1st, in the middle of the night, they snatched it. It was crazy. So anyway, when we get there, Um, it was a couple of Crips that was already in there when we get in there. One happened to have been my big homeboy, Mad Reese. Shout out to Mad Reese, man. Bro is out now and out of prison, back in society, living a very productive life. I had the opportunity to holler at Mad Reese on FaceTime. Him and the big homie Bumper Jack, they was together. Probably like a few weeks back, and they both had been through the prison system, got out and is living productive lives. So shout out to both of them, Mad Reese and Big Bumper Jack. But when we get to this DPE, Mad Reese is there. Him and Big Fontain from Altadena Blocc, they already there. So bam, we used to have these speakers inside of our cells. And this is how we used to communicate with each other, through these speakers. Now, the speakers was basically designed for you to get the police attention if you needed to, like, get out your cell or whatever, You would push the button on the speaker, and the speaker would go directly to, like, this control booth panel where the sheriff sat in, and if you buzz it, bam, they know who it is, and they get right back to you on the speaker. Or you don't push the button and you can just holler at whoever you're trying to holler at through the speaker. Of course, everybody can hear your conversation through those speakers. However, anyway, now while in there, like I said, Big Fontaine from Altadena Blocc in there already, And like I said, you hear about people's names long before you meet them. And he was a person, his name was always out there ringing bells, you know what I mean? So bro was a reputable from Altadena Blocc Crip, you know what I mean? So, um, how he become relevant in my life and me even being able to speak up on bro is, you know, he didn't cause like that much of an impact in my life, because it ain't like we was buddies and I got to, be around him and learn stuff from him, but none of that, Our time in the DPE thing was basically like the whole. We never was able to come out and function together. The only time when we was able to come outside ourselves is when they popped it open and you was coming out for your shower, or if you was able to get phone calls at that time, because they had different restrictions on us. Remember, we was in there under investigation for stabbing the police, in which, we had nothing to do. Like I said, the homies from the neighborhood lit them up. You know what I mean? And hey, man, that Crip module was different. It was extremely violent, extremely. Y'all hear about the stories of today, and of course, this generation do things a whole bunch different than how we used to do back then in them days, man. But I'm telling you, like that LA County jail, especially in that Crip module, was no joke at all. And to be honest, like, you've heard the stories about certain hoods not being able to go into the Crip module, right? And that's true. It was certain ones that couldn't go in there. I'm not gonna throw nobody under the bus and or nothing like that, but had certain people came in there, it would have been ugly for them. Period. But anyway, back to Fontaine. So Fontaine was a trip because, bro, we used to get these newspapers, right? Every day, I think they used to give us the newspapers like every day. You know what I'm saying? And really, you're supposed to get the newspaper, rotate them around. If you was into sports, whoever, had dibs on getting the sports section first, they would get it and then pass it on to the next person, or whatever section you wanted to read or was into, it was like a pecking order on the newspaper. So anyway, Fontaine used to try to get the newspaper first every single day, and he wouldn't break the newspaper down into sections or none of that. Bro would get the newspaper and try to lock up on the newspaper, right? The whole entire thing, and lock up on it for days. Like, nah, Fontaine, you can't do that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to spread the wealth. You know what I mean? So anyway, I remember him doing that, but after us all having a discussion about the newspaper situation, bro started spreading the wealth. I guess he had got so used to, because like I said, we had just got thrown in there. And that's a part of Wayside that I had never been in. I had been on the 7,000 flow, the 8,000 flow, medium north, and all that, right? But I had never been in this part, and like I said, it was like high power. You feel me? Like they had dudes in there, man. Like I told y'all, like I was in there. Well, one of the I think the father was in there. One of the head top dudes at that time for the Mexican Mafia. And then the son was in the high power in the actual Los Angeles County Jail. That was on the 7,000 floor. I was in that high power too. And I told y'all the stories about that, how they had the TV set up in front of all the cells is painted pure white, clean, ain't no gang writing or no tagging up on the walls, and the bed structure is clean and ain't nothing all like that part of the Los Angeles County Jail tricked me out because I had never seen it that clean, right? I'm used to big old rats and roaches everywhere and gang writing all over the place, and it's stinking up in there. But in this part, and on the 7,000 flow in the Los Angeles County Jail, high power, it was clean. They had TVs in front of all the cells and all that, right? And this was during the time when O.J. Simpson was in there. And of course, he was in there crying and complaining about everything. So they tried to, and through his lawyers, he got a couple of things changed, as far as the how they prepared the lunches and all that stuff. And they kept that part of the Los Angeles County Jail clean. I can't say that, but as far as the rest of it, man, hey, I have never seen so many big rats in my life ever. The biggest ever, and roaches. And you had some crazy ass dudes that was in there making them pets. So it wasn't nothing to see a big old fat roach, probably about that big, on a string. Dudes, hey, people was in that county jail doing some crazy stuff, bro. But as far as Fontaine go, um, another situation happened with him, man. Outside the newspaper thing, like we were straight after the newspaper thing, but Fontaine was crazy, man. Fontaine was a big dude. He had one eye, deep ass voice. You know what I'm saying? I used to always trip when we was in Wayside in the DPE thing because I can hear him coming before he actually come, because you hear his footsteps like loud. His footsteps was loud, right? Fontaine, then he had that big ass deep voice, so he had a crazy ass laugh too. Deep ass voice, right? But the last time that I seen Big Fontaine, man, was at Pasadena Court one day. And that was ugly. That was ugly because I remember that day us going, my homies, now it was me, it was my homie Lil Bird, it was my homie Big Noriega, and I believe Young Snake, right? We all on the bus. Now, these dudes, now all of us grew up together. We all know each other. You know what I'm saying? From childhood. So they on the bus acting wild. Now, let me tell y'all, man, every time that I go to court, they shackle me up, which means I have a chain going around my waist, right? To where my arms, both arms, is handcuffed to that chain, right? So I got an arm handcuffed on this side of my body, and arm handcuffed on this side of my body with my arms down to my sides. And then that chain that's around my waist, it got another chain that goes all the way down to my legs. And then they got handcuffs at the bottom of that chain where one goes, they'll lock one around my leg, at the bottom of my leg on one side, and then another one on the other, right? So bam, I'm completely shackled up. So when I'm walking, that's all you hear is chains. Shh, 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 shh. And they keep them from the time I leave the LA County Jail, they put those on me, right? When I'm in the LA County Jail, they put those on me inside the tank. Bam. Then I will have that stuff on from that time, which is probably like 7 something in the morning. I will have them on from 7 till however long I was at court, which sometimes lasted to like well into the evening, like 5, So by the time I make it back to the Los Angeles County Jail from court, it's probably like 7 at night. So imagine having them chains on you that long. I used to have bruises and sores around my legs and my arms and all that, right? From having them heavy chains on me all day. They don't take them off because I told y'all how they said that me and a couple of other people was plotting to escape out of court, right? And this is why I tell people, man, y'all, when you go to court, be careful on what you saying in them tanks, because they got speakers in there that they're in there listening to the whole conversation that you're having. You know, they're listening, hoping you saying something about your case that they can use against you. You feel me? If they not using that tactic, then they gonna throw an informant inside that tank with you and try to get you to talk about your case. You know what I mean? So if you place yourself in a situation like that, just be mindful, man, that they're listening to everything. I promise you. So whatever conversation they heard me having with somebody else, they utilized that to say that we was plotting to escape out that courthouse. So that put me at a higher um um that put me at a higher security threat. So they changed my wristband. I told y'all that story, man. I went back to the LA County Jail. They changed my wristband. They sent me to the 7,000 floor without my property and all this and that. I told y'all that story. Go back and watch it. I was in there with the Menendez, with one of the Menendez brothers. I told y'all that story. Go back and watch that story about the Menendez brothers that I did. You feel me? How I was gonna knock out Lyle Menendez because he got at me crazy. So anyway, um, we at court. I'm shackled up every time I go to court. And my homies used to tell me, like, bro, we don't want you going inside that tank shackled up like that. Because we had a thing, the Durocs had a policy back then, like you had to go inside that tank. And ain't no ducking it, because 9 times out of 10, when you go into Pasadena court, the bloods is gonna be deep as I don't know what in there. 9 times out of 10, that's how it's gonna be. They gonna have you outnumbered, you know. And a lot of the times, a lot of them dudes that's in there is from PDLs, a community that we don't necessarily get along with, right? And it's been like that for years. However, when you go to that courthouse, and if you from where I'm from, or you from Altadena Blocc, or any one of the Crip sets that's from that area that beef with these guys, you got to go in that tank, and it's not gonna be fair. You know, it's not gonna be fair. But it wasn't like that all the time. On certain occasions, the Crips will go in there and be deeper and have the more numbers. And 9 times out of 10, some of the ones that was in there that already got jumped by the Bloods on different occasions. So, hey, man. So this particular day, this is the last time I seen Big Fontain. And by the way, let me let y'all know, Big Fontain from Altadena Blocc ended up passing away in prison. And I think it was Lancaster prison. Bro had a heart attack and passed away, sadly. You know, I hated to hear that, man. As a matter of fact, me and the homie Master C was just having a conversation about this like a few days ago, and I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna speak on Big Fonte because bro was a real one, you know, despite of whatever, you know, his, you know, people that, like I said, he was knocking dudes out and jacking dudes. He was known for that. You know what I'm saying? That nigga, he's an Altadena Blocc legend. Period. Regardless of how anybody may feel, that's what it was. So anyway, but Fontaine was a cold dude, bro. So like I said, on certain occasions, the Crips have had the numbers in that Pasadena court. So this particular day, like I said, we going with my homies, we on the bus, they already acting wild. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just one of them days. We all grew up together, so it wasn't every day that we was able to you know, go to this courthouse all locked up and of course incarcerated, you know, in different parts of the LA County jail. But you know, we chilling. So bam, we get to the courthouse. Fontaine already in there. I think he had came from Wayside, right? He come in there. I mean, he in there. We come in there, see him in there. You know what I'm saying? We all greet each other. You know what I mean? And it was two other dudes sitting in there, right? Two other dudes sitting in there. Now they not saying nothing. Of course, we know they not homies because they not talking to nobody in the tank. So eventually, I believe I can't remember who said what to who, right? But I do remember one of the homies hitting the dudes up, like, "Hey, where y'all from?" Right? And one of them was he looked. One of them looked at me. He like, "Hey," he like, "Your name Crip, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, man, I heard you be rapping. You and your other homie be rapping and this and that and blah blah blah." So in the midst of the homie hitting him up, he's trying to make small conversation with me, right? I'm not tripping like that because I got to go to this courthouse. I had just started trial, which means I got to go to this courthouse every single day. They already plotted on getting me. I'm talking about the Bloods, right? Because I'm going in the tank. You feel me? And it was a situation like my homies told me, you ain't got to go in there like that, bro. And I wasn't trying to be extra hard or, extra out or none of that, right? But I just felt like it wouldn't be right. Everybody else going up in there and me using an excuse of being shackled up. Like, if y'all gonna do something to me in this state, then hey, man, that says a lot about y'all, but it also says more about me. You feel me? So do what you gonna do. And a couple of them actually tried to plot to get me, and I was told that by um uh shout out to Lil No Good from Rolling Sixties. I told y'all that him and the homie Q Twin from Q102 East Coast, they was going to Pasadena Court during this time. You feel me? So if any of y'all, well, I think Lil No Good may have passed away, if I'm not mistaken. I think somebody told me that. Rest in peace to him if that's so. And shout out to them and their community as well. But Q Twin is definitely still alive. You know what I'm saying? So if any of y'all know Q Twin from Q102 East Coast, ask him. He'll tell you that whole story. You feel me? They was plotting on getting me, right? And it was one of the dudes that was plotting on me. Me and him basically grew up in the system together, fighting each other. You feel me? So, it wasn't no big old mystery that they was gonna, as soon as I seen him in the tank, I'm like, he said he knew who I was off the top. I knew who he was off the top. You know what I mean? So, hey, if you gonna get me, bro. You feel me? But they was plotting that day, and I remember No Good and them telling me like, "Hey, bro, like, hey, they was plotting on getting you. They was talking about trying to do something to you, if you came in the tank and this and that and whoa, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you shackled up. Like, we not gonna allow that. You know what I mean? And I'm telling them like, cause I walked I was known for not just going in there shackled up, but I used to have these pearl white all-star Chuck Taylors that I used to wear, brand new with big, bright blue shoestrings in them, right? Mind you, I'm a young dude. I'm 22 years old. I'm still gang banged out. I didn't care. Not putting no extras on nothing. You know what I'm saying? Them dudes knew me like I knew them. They had real gang bangers from their community as well. So it wasn't like no one-sided thing. This particular day, they numbers were short, and the homies was in there deep and they was tripping. So anyway, let me get back to that story, man. So anyway, this particular day, dude is trying to make small conversation with me. So bam, just so happened they come and call me out for court. So bam, I'm like, okay, I leave out. When I'm leaving out, I see them bringing another blood in fresh off the street, right? He still got his street clothes on. That's how they did it. This is how the PD Hills used to be so deep in that courthouse, because you got them coming from Wayside. You're going to have a good 8 to 10 of them coming from Wayside. Then the Los Angeles County Jail, you're going to have another good 8 to 10 of them coming from there. And then probably 3 to 4 that's coming fresh off the street. You know what I'm saying? In their street clothes still. They be in there, that courthouse deep, right? 9 times, and if you fall in that courthouse, man, 9 times out of 10, bro, I'm telling you, this is how it's gonna be. And depending on who you are, they gonna do their thing on you. Period. But I remember certain times being in there. I remember, man, Big El Dorado from PDL. I remember falling up in the tank. I was young. This was like in '91. I fell up in the tank. I'm a young dude banging. I get in there, they in there deep. They deep as I don't know what. And they want to get down. But they not talking about head of phase. Like, they want to pack me out. But Big El Dorado from PBL is in there. right? He's like, that's out. We don't do it like that. Nigga, if y'all got a problem or issue with him, he in here by himself. Everybody, whoever got a problem with him, y'all can fight him. Other than that, I'm not gonna let y'all jump him. He told them dudes just like that. And it's not every day, bro, that you run across people that is gonna keep it real like that, man. And I've always respected that. And I ended up running into Big El Dorado in different prisons, man. And this is somebody that was known for beating people up. You know what I'm saying? Point blank, period. He's known. I think he was in prison for actually unaliving somebody with just beating them with his hands, right? So, dude was highly respected. Any of y'all that's from out in that community, y'all know I'm not lying. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Big El Dorado. I give props where props is due. And I remember hollering at Big El Dorado one day, and him telling me about my homie Big Bird, right? Who he referred to as General Bird, right? And it's crazy if you have your oppositions that have that much respect for you to put general on the front of your name when referring to you, right? That you got to be a cold dude, period. And taking nothing away from my big homie, Big Bird, bro, he was that. He was one of the do-rocks that was known for going through that Pasadena courthouse and lining up everything. And whooping it. He ain't waiting around like, nah, where you from? Come on. We getting it in. You? Come on. We getting it in. He was known for that. So your opposition named you General. You's a cold dude, period. And bro was cold. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? So going through that courthouse and through the system, and you got big homies like that, man, they got those big names and reputations to where they're that respected, you're not finna let it fall weak when it comes to you. You know what I'm saying? But I do remember bro talking about him and telling me like, how much respect that he had for the homie because he was stepping in the tanks, getting down like that. You know what I'm saying? He was like, man, he fought hard, real hard. That's why we all respected him. That's a person that can come into this tank and get the same respect I would give one of my G's. Point blank, period. You feel me? And yeah, man, like I said, bro, you're not gonna find them like that. But anyway, this particular day, man, we at court. They called me out for court. I'm making my way out. As soon as I go out, I see them bringing the blood in, fresh off the street in his street clothes. He got the red jacket, the red all stars. I'm like, oh. In my head, I'm like, if they put him in that tank right now, oh my God, right? And sure enough, they did. Now, when that happened, they take me upstairs to court. So by the time I come back from court and going back to the tank, when I get off the elevator, I see the two that was already in the tank when I left out and the new blood that came in off the street in his street clothes, all handcuffed on the benches outside the tanks, beat up, right? And I remember a dude from Raymond. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm gonna still talk. But I do remember a guy being there from Pasadena Raymond, Crip. Shout out to the Pasadena Raymond Crips as well. Okay, I'm coming back. Shout out to the Pasadena Raymond Crips as well, man. I do remember, bro, sitting outside the tank, and when I'm walking, getting ready to go back in, him telling me like, man, your homies beat the hell out these dudes, right? So I'm like, oh, right now I had mixed feelings about that because, like I told you, I'm going to this courthouse every day. The numbers ain't gonna be like they are today. If I come back tomorrow, it's gonna be ugly, right? And that's exactly what happened. So anyway, I see these dudes. I'm like, oh man. So when I get back inside the tank, they in there pumped up, right? Now, Fontaine from Altadena Blocc is the one that pumped all this whole thing up. While I'm gone, he done pointed out that, hey, that nigga, he dissing, he disrespecting, he calling them S's, the derogatory term towards Bloods. He calling them that. Like, yeah, he's a S, he's a S, he's a S, and woo woo, right? He's pointing out all this. He in there pumping this whole situation up, man, and eventually the homies ended up getting on him, man. So when I get in there, they showing me teeth marks in their knuckles and teeth prints in their shoes and blood is everywhere. I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? And I remember Fontaine like, yeah, today Crip Day, today Crip Day, cause today Crip Day. He had that deep ass voice. Like I said, he had one eye. You know what I'm saying? Big old crazy. Hey, those of y'all that know Big Fontaine, man, from Altadena Blocc that knew him, y'all know he was a fool. And I remember like that day, him saying that, and the homies pacing around. He was in there pumped up, like, can't none of them dudes come in this tank today. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be ugly, right? So sure enough, I go back to court, and I knew it was gonna work out like that, where it was gonna be a million of them in there, and just me, and I'm in there, and the tank is packed, and one of the dudes that got jumped was in there, right? Now I'm amazed at the fact that, because he knew that I was in the tank that day, but of course I wasn't one of the ones that jumped on it, but my homies did. You know what I'm saying? And um, you know, but that easily could have happened to me and worse, because like I told y'all, I'm shackled up. You feel me? And that would have been like an easy one. You feel me? But thankfully, I guess God was on my side, man, because they didn't trip. Even the dude that one of the dudes that was there that had got jumped by my homies, he seen me in there. He didn't say nothing. None of them said nothing. They was in there, on their thing, but they didn't trip. It wasn't no dissing. It wasn't no nothing. You know what I'm saying? Which I was surprised by. Again, I was very surprised by that, man, because how they got done was ugly. But like I said, there's been situations where it'll be Crips in there a little bit deeper sometimes, and depending on who it is, you might get that pass, and you might not. And just like if the tables turn, and I've been in situations where the Bloods was in there a million deep, and they could have got me easily. I'm shackled every time I go to court. There's never a time when I go to court they're not going to shackle. Every time I leave that LA County jail, they're going to shackle me just like that. You feel me? Point blank period. So it wasn't no getting around it. But also, I just had a little bit more pride in myself in having to take that walk like everybody else had to take that walk. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I'm missing the messages in the chat. Shout out to everybody, man, that dropped the message in the chat. Miss Golden, I miss you too, beautiful. For real, for real. Shout out to my boy Damu. Appreciate you tapping in, bro. Oh, you remember Fontaine? Yeah, man. Hey, Fontaine was a fool, bro. Fontaine was a fool. Oh, no brain. What's up, bro? I know you know Fontaine. I know you know Fontaine, no brain. I know that. Jay, what's up, Jay? Shout out to you, man. Much love. Appreciate you. Always tapped in. I appreciate you, bro. Hey, no brain and Dabu, man. Hey, y'all know Fontaine was crazy, bro. He was a fool, but he pumped up that situation for the homies to do that to them dudes, man. And like I said, I had mixed feelings about it, because I had been in situations where they could have got me like that. You know what I'm saying? But like I told y'all about Big El Dorado, he stopped that from happening. And then um, it's just been a few occasions where, it could have went afoul. Oh, for sure. Did I move? For sure. Let me throw that up on the stage. Hey, but yeah, man, that was crazy times, man. That was crazy times, going. But I grew up going to that courthouse from juvenile on up. You know what I'm saying? Just like a lot of us did. You know, it was a lot going on in that courthouse, man. You feel me? Between the gang banging and the corruption with the police that was working in there, it was a lot going on, man. For real, for real. It had to be, one of the ones, unfortunately, that was going through there, like we all have for a number of years, from juvenile on up. You're going through the same courthouse, through the same system. They just pass you on from floor to floor. As you age, you're gonna elevate to the next courthouse floor. You go from the third floor to the fourth to the fifth, and so on and so on as you age. It's crazy. It's crazy. And no, that's nothing to brag about. And again, I can't express this enough, man. We don't bring these stories here as glorification of any of these things that I tell y'all, man. We bring y'all these stories so you don't put yourself in a situation where you have to go through any of the stuff that we've been through. But of course, everybody's journey is their own, man. And really, you are the key to where your destination is gonna be. And we can only try to help through our experiences of some of these things. Unfortunately, I look at it as being like a sacrificial lamb, for those that you still got some goodness in you, in your heart, in your spirit, you can be talked to. And you can be talked down off the cliff if you're one of the people that's on the cliff that's, you know, about to make a bad decision that can put you in somebody's prison or jailhouse. You feel me? So consider these videos as a cheat sheet, man. This is my way of giving back to my community from all the damage I've done to it. You feel me? And I tell y'all all the time, like, we not here to recruit nobody to gang bang and go to prison and go to jail. So don't listen to these dudes that will get behind the camera and pop it. Like, that's what everybody is about that's making videos in prison, and again, if I'm speaking about, you know, the LA County Jail, Crip Module, or prison being on the main line and not on no 50/50 SNY, EOP yard, then I'm telling you this as a person that lived that life, that went through it, and, you know, tried to make the best example that I could while walking in that path correctly and not cheating the game. Meaning, you know, making the decision to at the end of the day, I don't care what nobody say about the 50/50, the GP, SNY, any of that. I don't care. At the end of the day, you're making a decision to go there. Nobody is putting a gun to your head, forcing you, or none of that. You're making a decision because whatever was going on with you on the main line, you couldn't stand the test of it. You feel me? I know somebody, man, that had a green light on them, and I'm not gonna say where they from or say their name, right? But this is a true story. He actually had a green light on him because of what he was in jail for. His own homies put a green light on him, right? And typically, when something, and this is a big hood, and typically when something like that happened, instead of facing the pressures of having to go through all these dudes, when you run into them, and hey, I don't want to deal with that. PC up and you go about your life, right? Nah, this dude didn't do that. Each and every person that had a problem with what he was in jail for, he ran through them. He didn't run, he ran through them. Point blank, period, and stayed on the main line. And eventually they took that green light off of him because they seen it wasn't no stopping this dude. Period. And I'm not glamorizing any violence again or none of this stuff. I'm telling y'all that don't believe these dudes that will give you a watered down version of, you know, what prison is or supposed to be. If you're gonna speak about it, speak the truth. Give these young dudes the correct information and stop misleading them with your BS. If you're one of the people that's jumping on the internet popping it about what prison is and, you know, continuing to blame others for your bad decision making. You made a bad decision that landed you in prison or in jail. Then you made another bad decision to go SNY, PC, EOP, 50-50. Nobody put a gun to your head. That ain't how it worked. You got the sign on the dotted line before you even make it over there. Point blank, period. And you have to give up credible information that will guarantee that they put you over there. Because it ain't guaranteed that they'll put you over there just because you want to PC up. They can take you and send you to a whole different yard or a different prison. Test your luck out over here. You know what I'm saying? And if you keep getting boop bop off each yard, then that'll be enough convincing for them to send you to SNY or 50-50. But other than that, like, ain't nobody put no gun to your head. You feel me? But it is what it is, man. To each his own. You know, if that's the decision that you choose to make as a man, then hey, who am I to say that you wrong for making a decision on your life? But don't say that I'm wrong or anybody else is wrong when you make that decision, and then you see that you're not going to get the love and support that you thought you was going to get. Oh, I want to go back, but you can't go back to the main line because you done already went its function with, you know, people that has done harm to kids, people that got other people put in jail or prison, like police officers, dropouts, ratas. You feel me? So, you know, don't be mad at the people that's still on the main line. Be mad at yourself for making the decision to go function on a 50-50 yard. Again, hey, what you eat don't make me poop, or nobody else for that matter. Don't be mad if you go over there and you get in trouble and now they want to send you back to the main line and you're going to get paid up when you go back to the main line because you went into function with, and again, stop allowing these people to lie to y'all about that 50-50 stuff because it ain't no, oh, the general population is over here and the 50-50 people, I mean, the no good people is over here and they don't function together. They got a wall between them or a gate. No, they're mixed in together. They eat together. You feel me? So, you know, hey, it is what it is, man. I don't care. You feel me? I'm beyond caring because at this point you have people that's very accepting of the 50-50 thing on the streets, you know. So when these people go, they big homeboys or they're young homeboys, go to these yards and then they end up paroling, they can go right back to their hood and it be all good. All is forgotten that they went and functioned with people that done told on other people and got people put in prison, or these dudes that touched on somebody's child. You feel me? Or they done something foul enough to get them where they are protected from the general population. Blacks do not allow anybody to dictate how they move in a prison yard, nor do the Mexicans, nor do the white boys, nor do the others. That ain't how I go. Don't no other race dictate how a next race get down in no shape, form, or fashion. The only people that feel like that is the guys that went SNY, PC, that couldn't go back to the main line because they went that route. These are the same guys that's encouraging the youth that's catching these cases, that's coming to prison now. Oh, go to the 50-50. They're starting you off there. Yeah, go there. You'll be okay. And then they go there and they get kicked out that program. And the next spot that they got to go to is back to a general population. But what's on their jacket is SMY PC 50-50. So when they go back to the general population with that on their jacket, that's the only thing that's going to be highlighted out is you was on this yard with these people. They sent you back from that yard back into the general population, probably to come get some information to tell on some other people. That's the way that is one of the ways that it's being looked at. So no, they don't get a pass. Stop advising your young homies to go that route. Because if they go there and they get in trouble, they're going back to the general population, and that's where their career is going to get ended, in prison. Now, they might, go back to the PC yard after they get got on the GP yard and be accepting back in their hood. Who? I don't care. The only thing that I care about is true education about this prison and jail stuff, and not mislead nobody like I see other people trying to do. They're given the voice to do it. You feel me? And hey, again, I'm beyond caring because the people in society love these people. So why should I care more about, a situation that these people are embracing to? So what? Anyway, man, I'm finna get ready to get up out of here. I've taken up more than enough of y'all time, man. I appreciate everybody stepping back to this roundtable with me, man. It's definitely a pleasure to be able to talk about the OG homie, Big Fontain, man, from Altadena Blocc. Shout out to the Altadena Bloccs, man. Um, there's many others from the block, man, that I can speak on forever, like Big C-Wack. Shout out to the homie Big C-Wack, man. These are all the Altadena Bloccs that came through Calipatria in between the years of, I'm gonna say 1999 up until I left there in 2005. You had Big C-Wack, you had C-Hard, you had BG, Baby Gangster, you had Sugar Bear, you had Cam, you had Dino, you had Big Zoe, and again, Big C-Wack. You know what I mean? You had all them there at one time or another, that I had the absolute pleasure of, being around and doing time with them homies, man. You feel me? So best believe and like the history just goes deep with us, especially with me on the streets with them, as well as being locked up. You know what I mean? So, you know, it was definitely a pleasure to be able to spin the block out to the blocks, out to Demas, the homies, you know what I'm saying, and talk about the homie Big Fontaine, man. Giving y'all a small short story of my last time seeing him, which was at Pasadena court that day when that confrontation happened. You feel me? But yeah, man, make sure y'all like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Swanglow podcast if you haven't already did it. I would greatly appreciate that, man. Please take this opportunity to do that right now, and it won't cost you nothing. Make sure you hit the notification bell so when we do these lives or I drop a video or whatever, man, y'all be right there front and center. You won't miss a beat. You feel me? But I'm gonna let y'all get back to doing y'all. Again, I appreciate it. Y'all tapping in as always. Y'all take care, stay safe out there, man. Stay vigilant, and love each other. And let the people that's in your life know that you love them and appreciate them while you can, because tomorrow ain't promised to none of us. You feel me? But on that note, I'm gonna get up out of here. Y'all take care, stay safe. Till the next time we meet at this round table. Love all y'all. Triple gang.